Hello, Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Press Day. But a quick reminder, for those of you who watch these videos every day, please click like down below, and hop over and click like on my preview for the Training Max today. So, I went with 40 pounds of chains, and what I did with this lift versus 3 weeks ago, I put 35 pounds on it. Again, I've only recently started going back to the wider grip bench, which is pinkies on the rings, and I've been building it up, focused on building it up with appropriate accessories, and it's coming up pretty quick now that my shoulder impingement has been rehabbed. So everything's coming along pretty good here. So yeah, we got 315 plus 40 pounds of chains, and it felt pretty heavy. It was real close to a max for me. Like a lot of times I'll say these are a training max. I definitely could have made another jump. I'm 50-50 on if I could have made another jump, right? I don't know. If I put another 10 pounds on, I probably could have got it. I'm not 100% sure that I could have. Still, it looked pretty fast. It looked pretty fast overall. And I'm trying to pause on all of these. People are noticing that these are all paused. I try to do at least a 1 count pause, and I'm trying to pause all the rep work also. So again, I've had people who don't understand what I mean by adding the chains or bands. So when I give the weight, that's the amount of weight the bar and the plates includes, right? So in this case, there's 315. It's a barbell, 345-pound plates. Those are calibrated plates per side. The rigging and the chains are 40 pounds. That's not counting that bit of lead chain that hangs that you see staying on the ground. That's not included. And so there's some chain still at the bottom because even those clamps and some of that, those clamps alone are 3 pounds. I'm not counting that to the bar weight. I just count all of that to the chain weight for consistency. So probably 10 pounds of the chains is still on the bar at the bottom, right? And then we're adding about 40 pounds towards the lockout. So it's pretty much like 325 at the bottom, 355 at the top. So 315 plus 40 pounds of chains. And again, I count all the shackles and lead chains and everything as part of that 40 pounds. And I try to take out approximately half of the lead chain, because half of the lead chain stays on the ground, so I only take half of what the lead chain weighs. And that's very, very light anyways. It's a minuscule part of the overall load. But after that, I went with 280 for the pause benching. And I didn't feel like I could get a 6 rep on this. I went up 5 pounds from last time. I got 3 by 5. They were hard. I stopped and tried to leave a rep in the tank on the last one instead of saying, well, can I grind out one more because it was a newer weight. It felt heavy. Again, paused all of these. But I just felt like, again, this weight, it was tough for me. I don't know that I can do a 5-pound jump next time. I might need to micro load it. Because again, I got to the last set and that 5th rep felt pretty heavy. So what I've been doing on these, if I can pick up an extra rep or 2, I've just been jumping 5 pounds, right? I did that with the other bar. I did it when I was doing with the 10, so I'm doing the same things now with 5s with the power bar. So it's getting heavy, so I'll probably only do a micro jump next time. You know, we should be able to complete that. Because I mean, the last rep wasn't an all-out grinder, but I was questioning how bad I would have to grind a 6 rep. You know, instead of just going for it. So I'm going to make a smaller jump this time. On the incline, on the other hand, we made another 5-pound jump and still got 6 reps. So we'll get to that in a minute. But again, good hard stimulus here. And today's training volume is a hair lower overall than it has been. Again, been a little while since the deload. I'm making great progress. I don't feel like I need to push the bleeding edge on volume. You know, if I get 12 really good sets per muscle group in per week, I think that's sufficient. And that's roughly what I'm doing. Keeping in mind, a lot of the back stuff, there's overlap with my lower body days. Right, there's a lot of trap and lat stability and everything involved with all my good mornings and squatting and everything else. Rows, I dropped 10 pounds off. I wanted to focus on getting a hair stricter on these because the 295, I'd said before, well, it's at the bleeding edge. The more I looked at it, the more I thought I should probably drop the weight down a hair, try to get stricter. Because I went straight from 10s and calculated off my 10s and 12s of what I should be able to do for 5s, right? And the form got sloppy when I went to 5s. So I want to get it to a point where I can get it a hair cleaner, and I'm a lot happier with these today. I'm a lot happier with these today. Notice I pull up tight on each rep. You set up like a deadlift. And that's one of the things I tell people a lot with these rows. Your rowing should look like your deadlifts. A narrower grip pendlay like this, it should look like you're setting up a deadlift. And that's what I do on each rep. And this gives carryover. It helps you with your conventional deadlift. So with 285, I did my 3 sets of 5. And that was good enough, because when I tried to do them stricter, these were really hard. This is really tough with this weight for 5s. I'd like to get it stronger. I want to get better at it. But I'm having to cheat to go any heavier, more than I'd like to. I mean, it's still acceptable. I'm still getting good back and rear delt trap stimulation from what I was doing. But I would like it to be a little stricter, and I'm a little happier with the stuff today. Incline. Jumped 5 more pounds. We did 210 last time, which for 5s is, I think, the heaviest I've done on camera in years and years. So the incline's coming back up nice. Especially these are all paused. Well, I did that, and then I got a 6 rep last time. I'm like, you know what? I think I can do a 5-pound jump today. I did 2 sets of 5. We get to the 3rd set. I managed to grind out a 6 rep. And that 6 rep wasn't easy, but we got it. So, you know, my goal that I've set for these for my 5s, we're not that far off, are we? I feel like a good position to continue to build off of it. I set as a short-term benchmark, get to 225 for 5s. And this is, again, 45-degree angle. This is not a shallow incline. This is a relatively steep incline. If I can do sets of 5 with 225 paused, I feel like that's going to help with a good bench PR. Right? It'll really address some of my weaker links with the bench. And notice that I do very similar to my bench here. I touch low on the chest for an incline. So people say, what do you mean low the chest? I'm below the nipple. I'm touching just below my nipple. Even though I'm up at a steep incline. So I'm bringing it down low. I'm pausing, sinking it, and then driving. Okay? And the same grip width I use on the bench. So I'm doing this as a primary bench accessory and to build my upper chest and anterior deltoids and everything up, right? Incline benching is arguably one of probably the best press you can do for interior delts. And I'm not saying overhead pressing doesn't work them really well too. It does. But if you look at some of the data with the incline, EMGs and other stuff, they really light up. And we know that the incline bench carries over very, very well to the flat bench in terms of strength. So again, this is a primary accessory for me. And I'm going to push it hard and do whatever we need to do to get good at it. And I feel like the tricep work is helping. I feel like all the JM presses help because when I slow down on an incline, it's at the top. I tend to explode off the chest because, again, I got strong lats. Axle bar rows. These went pretty good today. I managed to get all my reps and sets with this. I feel like I can start trying to slowly micro-load this up a little more. All right, we did our 230 today. We got 3 by 10 because the other day we failed on the last rep. We got all of them this time. Okay, we got all of them. So the grip's coming along pretty good. I mean, this lights my forearms up. It lights them up. And, you know, we're at a point now where we're rowing 230 for 10s on these. I mean, at this point, we're getting back stimulus, good back stimulus. Because I was only doing 250 for 10s with the straight bar. So if I can keep these going up, especially off the back end of the other pulling, we're getting some good back and rear delt work in here, in addition to the grip at this point. You know, grip, forearm training, everything else. Because I feel all of it now. Now that I've gotten stronger and my grip has come up, I can do that. And that's a good position to be in, to where it's no longer just a grip exercise. It is working my back. Becomes a legitimate exercise at that point, where we are actually getting some effective reps. So I'm counting it as normal sets. Now my shoulder health and everything is doing a lot better, and that's one reason I said, well, let's just pull overhead pressing out. Let's make sure we keep getting that shoulder healthier and healthier, and we'll work some back in. And it's not that it wasn't bothering me. It's a case of I just want to make sure I can continue to get that mobility and reduce the pain in my shoulder when I'm doing the dead hangs, so that I can eventually do chin-ups or pull-ups again, which I think are, again, going to really help bring my back and everything back up another level. And some of the weak links in my back can be further addressed that way. So it's something I'm eager for, and I'm really working hard on, is all that prehab and mobility and everything in my shoulder. I want to get it healthy enough to do that again. I'd love to get it healthy enough to do a behind the neck push press again. That might be asking a lot. I don't know that I'll get there. In a perfect world, in my dream world with it, let's get it to that point. That may never happen. I feel confident at this point I'm going to be able to get it healthy enough to do chins again, weighted chins. I just don't know how long. I'm going to keep working on it aggressively, though, until I reach my benchmark that tells me it's safe for me to do them. But I feel confident at this point that I will get to that point where when I can do a dead hang for 30 seconds with no pain in my shoulder, then I think we're good. I'm not there yet, but it is improving. It's improving almost day to day. Noticing a general reduction in the amount of pain I get hanging. And I've gotten to where I can actually hang from my full body weight, not just be on my toes and my knees forward. I've gotten to where now I'm able to hang, dead hang, full body weight, all of my 230 pounds right now, with pain, but it's not excruciating. Okay, it's relatively pain-free when I only put like 2/3 of my body weight. And I do that for 30 plus seconds. So we're getting there. We're getting there. I want to be able to do the whole body weight for 30 seconds without pain. And anyone who looks at that biomechanic will say, okay, it will be safe for, yeah, it will be safe for me to do chin-ups again at that point. So I'm working on it every single day. I want to make that happen. JM presses went good. I stuck back with the 105 again. I got 11 reps each time. I'm able to maintain better form with this weight. My form just breaks down. My elbows drop really low when I go any heavier when I went up to the 115. 105 works. It hits my triceps really hard. I'm able to maintain a form that really lets me hit that triceps without feeling my shoulders doing much work. So that's where we need to be. And I mean, the triceps are still, they're limiting me at that point. And again, I get a good tricep pump. Final 2 exercises, I said, okay, well, I'm only going to do 12 total sets of rows a week. I do need a little bit of bicep work. Do I want to do hammer curls? I'm like, no, let's do something else that'll still hit the forearms, right? Hit forearms and grip in its own way. Let's just use the axle bar. The weight I picked, I was able to get 11 for each rep. I was hoping to be around 10, but I was able to get an 11th. So again, and something else you guys will notice, I don't go up high. I do not go up high. Why? I've seen enough data that suggests that curling high, particularly for people who have space issues in their subacromial process area, like I have a history of, can cause some inflammation in the shoulder tendons. It's not worth it to me. Yeah, you might get a little bit better bicep development, but I don't care that much about biceps. They're just for me to help me bench a little bit more bench stability, because they're a good stabilizer on the bench. Maybe a little bit of bicep work to help reduce risk of tears on the deadlift. And then I'm just supersetting them with lateral raises. So people will say, well, why these? Because my rear delts are getting a lot of work. My rear delts are getting a ton of work with all the rows. 12 good sets of rows. I want something that really makes sure that it hits the side delt and upper trap a bit. Those might be underworked on my current lifts. This does a better job than, say, the rear delt flies for what I'm doing, and it still hits the rear delts. The lateral raise to the side like that is still a rear delt exercise. It hits it very effective, enough to stimulate growth. So if we combine that with the 12 sets of rows every week, well, that is a good amount of work for the rear delt. And it is hitting the side delt more. It's hitting the upper trap. Middle trap, lower traps, they get beat to death for me. My upper trap may not be getting quite enough work. So just coming in and doing 3 sets of that, make sure that we're hitting those areas, right? And that's one of the few muscles, and people come to me and say, hey, you're not real big on single joint movements. You occasionally prescribe, I do prescribe some for lifters. You guys see me do a few. If you want any muscle in the body that would probably benefit from these, if you're not doing a bunch of cleaning and hang pulls and stuff like that, if you're not doing that sort of stuff all the time, honestly, delts are probably one of the muscles that really can benefit. Okay, if you want a muscle that cannot always get maximum development from your big barbell movements, because your chest and everything else can be maximally developed with barbell movements. Anyone tells you otherwise is lying. It can be done. So to be careful in your selection and execution. When you're not doing those other lifts, we could argue that like side delts may not get enough. And the delt is the biggest muscle in the upper body. Something people don't always realize. It is actually the largest muscle in the upper body. That is true. A lot of times we say, oh, it's got to be the lats. No, the delt's actually bigger. But it's got 3 heads. There's a lot of complexity to it. So, I mean, if you're just trying to thicken up overall, maybe it's not a bad idea. Now, if you're doing stuff that's like snatch, grip, high pulls, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. You're getting plenty of work in those areas. I'm not doing those at the moment. I would want to do them again. I would love to work those in. I would love to be able to do chins, snatch, grip, high pulls, behind the neck push presses. I'd love to be able to do all 3 of those. I'm not there yet. So in the meantime, I do need to develop these muscles. And notice I don't go up super high on these. And I'm standing at an angle, so people notice it's offset a little bit. It's because I'm standing at an angle towards the camera and everything. Right side is forward. So I don't go super high. Why? I'm not trying to damage my glenoid. I'm just trying to make sure I hit the delt. So I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.